Please welcome the President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt.
Thank you. Those ovations are awesome. Thank you so much. You're keeping it up, keeping up that energy. Well, good afternoon. Over the past year, the United States Conference of Mayors has partnered with Google to help mayors understand AI by hosting a series of Mayors AI workshops where mayors and their staffs have come together with Google experts to better understand how to harness this technology. I am excited to share that today, as we enter the next phase of this partnership, we're releasing the Mayors AI Playbook, full of best practices, guidance, and concrete examples of how AI can make a positive impact on your city services. You will find a copy of this playbook at your seat, or at least that's what the teleprompter says. Is that true? Do you guys have a copy of the playbook at your seat? All right. And you can learn more about this at Google's booth in the exhibit hall. So with that, I'm excited to invite our next guest to the stage, who will dive into how artificial intelligence presents an immediate opportunity to build capacity by enabling governments to serve their communities faster and more equitably. Please welcome to the stage Mableton, Georgia Mayor Michael Owens and Google Vice President of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Chris Turner.
Hey, good afternoon, y'all. I'm Chris. This is the famous Mayor Owens.
Hello, everyone.
We want to talk to you a little bit about artificial intelligence today and its applicability. We talk a lot about artificial intelligence, and there are a lot of ways AI can practically solve problems, from fixing potholes to permitting. The question becomes where to start. It can be a bit overwhelming. So that was sort of the ethos behind the guide that we've collaborated on that's at all of your seats. And that'll be the topic of our conversation today.
Yes. Which everyone has now, right?
Everyone's got it, right?
Playbook.
We've all got one. Mr. Mayor, Mableton is unique in a couple of ways. Y'all are new, so you're a bit of a startup city. And you are led by someone with decades of experience in information technology and cybersecurity, both in military service and the private sector. With all of that, how did you approach adopting artificial intelligence to have an AI-ready foundation in the city?
Yeah, thanks for that. So, first of all, it's an honor to be up here with you. Hadn't seen you in a while, so good to catch up. What I was able to do is something that I think many mayors across the country have done and said a lot, is that, man, if I could just start from the beginning, right? If I could just do this without having to come behind someone, if I could have done it from the beginning, this is what I would have done. And this is a great opportunity that I had, right? Literally starting off a new city, having the ability to launch an AI-ready digital first, right? My approach was, we're gonna have a digital first city. And I had a lot of people come in and vendors talk about, they're going to install this or that. Well, in the city of Mableton, we don't own a server at all. There is no infrastructure that we have. So we were able to, do what a lot of cities want to do through this digital transformation, because there's decades of old systems and files that I never wanted to deal with. So we didn't bother to set up a server. From the very beginning, we went and set up a cloud-first, cloud-native environment. So we're 100% cloud native. We've been able to keep everything in the cloud, which made us more nimble, more effective, and shall I say, safer. So that was really the part to let's build this right from the beginning.
There are a lot of big, exotic projects that you could tackle. In the playbook, we talked about unlocking your data's potential. And one of the first things you went after was something super practical, maybe unglamorous. Can you talk a little bit about how you picked that first project, why, and how you went to execution on it?
Yeah, so part of being a new city is taking over services that someone done prior to. Yeah. So in our case, it was either state or with the business licenses, it was specifically with the county. And so what's happened is having tons and tons of data, unstructured data, whether they are applications or just files. I mean, you're talking scanned PDFs, you're talking spreadsheets, just all types of data. And I knew that was something that we were going to have to somehow get into our systems. Now, there's a couple of ways you can go about that. The traditional way, which is hiring someone to just sit in a closet and scan papers all day, which I'm sure a lot of us has done. But I wanted us to go beyond that, because even when you do that, now you have a bunch of information just scanned in some file folder somewhere. What we were able to do is leverage AI. So we could not only ingest all that data, but not have to go through that process of structuring all of it, but using AI to lift the information we want out of it, automatically categorize it, and be able to start using that data immediately, using that data to make smarter decisions. But we could also, got to the point where we could process applications faster, but also we're able to look at that data. One thing that AI does great is to be able to, through predictive measures, start to look at trends. Yep. Right, so we could look at the trends and determine what was working, what wasn't working. We could quickly look and see where new businesses were coming, but also see where we had issues at or where we had gaps at. And so that was something we could do kind of right off the bat that could have taken months of work, more than months of work. A team of people, we were able to do with just a couple of people and the power of AI.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit? We've got a little bit of time, so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what you've got next. Like, what are the next steps you're taking? Where are you going from here now that you've aligned your unstructured data and you've got a nice foundation for the city?
Sure. Well, we really should go back to the foundation itself, because starting a city like this and leveraging AI, it's really about building a culture around it.
Yep.
So when I talked about a digital first, paperless city. Yep. That's a mantra. It's a mantra that we took on. It's in the playbook, and it really talks about how we wanted to set the stage for what we would be. It's our identity. It's in our DNA. And second to that is building trust. Yep. Right? It's hard to go into these projects, these net new projects that no one's ever seen before, if you don't have a level of trust there with your vendors, with the employees, and ultimately with the residents. Yep. You cannot leave out our citizens. We have to make sure that they're comfortable on this path of what we're doing. That also you can't leave out cybersecurity.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to build a culture around cybersecurity, and we've done that within the city to make sure that when we're rolling out new solutions, we're talking about SSO or MFA. Yep. That's single sign-on, for those of you who don't know. MFA, which hopefully everybody knows, multi-factor authentication, to make sure that you're safe. To launch these AI tools in a way that is transparent, is ethical, you also have to have that level of trust we talked about. If you don't do that, you really is going to have a hard time initiating those tools in the way that you really should.
Just listening to him, you can tell he was a cybersecurity expert for the Marines, right? But that does not mean that y'all can't actually adopt and do the things that Mayor Owens is doing. Mr. Mayor, for those in the room that are nervous, looking for a first place to start, what advice would you give to them as they're just sort of like, they know they want to get involved in AI to solve some problems, to use it as a tool, not sure where to go, not sure where to start? They can call you.
Yeah, absolutely can call me.
They definitely talk to you, but what else can they do besides reaching out directly?
So there's a few things. And in the AI toolkit we have, it mentions one thing first and foremost, is that don't wait for a perfect time, right? Do not sit around and wait. It leads to the second thing, that AI is already being used in your city. Yep. Whether you know it or not, the worst thing you can do is not admit that. Put your head in the sand, because it is there, it's being used. So build the structure around it. Before you take on the first project, even, is really make sure that you've done your homework, you've reached out to some folks, and got some good consultants or whoever you need to pull in. And the steps are in the toolkit, right? That guide is there to kind of lay out that journey. But go ahead and get it started, I think is the key thing. Don't wait. I think it's also important to note that, we'll see what other cities are doing. I think, there's this phrase that good mayors borrow good ideas, but great mayors flat out steal them. They steal them, they rip them off, they coin them, and they make them better, right? So be a great mayor. Go out and find out what other cities are doing. See what's going on in San Diego. I think they're doing some fantastic things. See what's going on in cities like Chattanooga, I think, yep. where I've talked with Mayor Kelly out there. They're doing some yep. fantastic things. We learn from each other through this process. Everyone is along this journey at one point or another. So find out where you are within that journey, yep. and then move forward. With us, it was about asking several questions. And I think it's really, first and foremost, about is it going to make a difference? Is it going to make a positive difference to our residents, right, to our citizens? That's the first thing. Secondly is it something that's going to either speed up the aspect of what we're doing, lower the operational friction, right? You want it to tangibly, do something that's tangible, right? I get called on so much, I'm sure many of you mayors do that are out there, everyone's got the latest and greatest AI doohickey that does something, right? I mean, and I'll tell you, for me personally, that's a turnoff, right? Because if you lead in with, oh yeah, you got the latest and greatest, you know, AI bookshelf scheduler, like what is this? You know, like let's talk about solutions. And I think for those cities that are looking at taking this AI journey, start off with a challenge, a problem, a gap. Do not start with the solution, because there's 100,000 solutions out there, and if you're not being very focused on what is your challenge. So one thing that we did in the city is go through every department and go, what are the challenges you're having, right? What is slowing you down? What are those goals? So then we go, how can we use AI to either automate something, to gather information quicker, to make your decision-making better, and then literally department by department to go through and ask them what their challenges are. Once they have that, you can then figure out how you apply AI to that solution, whether that's Gemini, whether that's, you know, you name the solution,
pick one.
right? You pick one. But the important thing is you do the work up front. The work of AI is not just to come in and just magically fix everything. It's a tool. And so, I think that's a key thing. Talk about challenges that you're having. And then lastly, don't feel like you got to boil the ocean with it. Right? You start with meaningful, small projects that can move the needle on things that you want. Start with, ensuring, if you're using Workspace, are you using Google within that, right? Are you using AI? Are you using AI to, analyze a 150-page document that you just got, right?
Exactly.
And you can take that down to a 5-minute read and you're done. And if you all are like me, you do not have time to read everything that comes across your desk, but you can get it summarized very quickly, very accurately, and then be able to make better decisions on it. AI is a tool.
A tool.
It is a
exactly.
tool. It can be used to, in a city like us, where we don't have that many employees, So for us to be as effective and as efficient as possible, leveraging AI is a game changer. It truly is a game changer for us, because it allows our IT director somewhere out there, and he has a very small staff. That would not be possible without the Google tools that we use. We've been able to do call routing, for someone makes a call into the city. There's a number of projects that we can go into, but the key thing is start. Do not wait. Make sure you have sound policies. And many of you go, what is AI policy? Yeah, there are policies around, just like we have for any other ordinance or resolution that we're putting in place. There are specific policies that we need to put in place, ordinances, to make sure 100%. That it's transparent, make sure it's ethical, to make sure that as people are already using these tools, that they're using so in a structured environment. If we don't provide them the tools, Chris, they're going to use them anyway. They're going to use them anyway, right? So now the biggest risk you can have is have data, sensitive data, that is out there for the world to see. And that's where the cybersecurity part comes in, really, because if we're not providing the tools for them, people will use it, and now the city is at risk. And that's the last thing we want to see for any city. 100%. We won't talk about breaches today.
I think that is a great summary, and I can say, as the Google representative on stage, if you are just buying AI for the sake of AI, I'm straight up telling you, you're wasting your money. I agree with everything the mayor just said. Just because it says AI doesn't mean it's going to solve your solution or your challenge or your problem. Start with what you're trying to fix, what you're trying to further, what you're trying to advance, and then figure out if AI is a tool amongst many others that can help you get there, right? Like that is the approach. Otherwise, you're wasting your money, and sprinkling AI magic fairy dust on a problem doesn't make it go away. You still got to do the work. You got to figure out how it fits into your solution. And I think that is a great way to end. That is a great message. Please, y'all, catch up with Mayor Owens if you want to figure out how to do this in your city. Check out the playbook that we worked on together. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And appreciate the partnership with Google as well. It's been wonderful.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, this way.
All right. The American Institute of Architects has been a steadfast partner of the U.S. Conference of Mayors for many years. Through collaboration and design, mayors have worked with local architects to tackle a range of critical issues, from housing affordability to climate resilience to revitalizing blighted neighborhoods. Through this relationship, mayors and architects are not just shaping the built environment, they are shaping the future. We will now learn more about how mayors can harness the power of design. Please welcome to the stage Boston Mayor Michelle Wu and Executive Vice President and CEO of the American Institute of Architects, Carol Wedge.
Hi, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, President Holt. Thank you, Tom Cochran, for the opportunity to address the U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting. Thank you, Mayor Wu, for being here, for speaking with me. It's a great honor for me and a pleasure to join you on behalf of the American Institute of Architects.
Thank you. It's great
For
to see
those
everyone.
of you who don't know who I am, I'm Carol Wedge, the new CEO. Maybe more importantly today is I'm also a Bostonian.
A Patriots fan.
And a huge Patriots fan. Yeah, in the house. And also made the Boston area my home. So I've watched some great things that you've done over the years. Like architects everywhere, we love cities. Boston is my city, and now I've moved to DC. So we have a long and rich history with the Conference of Mayors. We're excited to build on that relationship with you. We've been with the Council of Mayors since its founding. And if you know the Mayors Institute of City Design, you know AIA and some of our talented and creative members. So my AIA commercial is ending. But Mayor Wu, I just want to start with a broad question. You know, sort of, what do you think is necessary for mayors leading today? What's the touch point for you? How do you think about this challenging environment, but also the opportunities you see?
Where to begin? First of all, it's an incredible honor to see all of you here and to know that so many people across the country care enough to step in to try to do something in this moment, and then to find time outside of your busy schedules to come together so we can all do more together. This question of what do mayors do? How can mayors make a difference today is, I'm now entering, or just had inauguration, so I'm now at the start of my second term, and it really hit me a couple months in after I was sworn in 4 years ago. There was a day that it was a regular summer day. I had meetings scheduled all day with our brand new superintendent, who we had just chosen to fill an important vacancy, working on school issues, working on other issues. And then I get a call that there had been a fire in the neighborhood, and it was so bad and so sudden that the family upstairs had to throw their baby out the window to an off-duty firefighter who happened to be there to catch them below, right? And that moment of, we can plan out everything, we're trying to do everything so families can live and thrive, and we have to support and build the teams that are then there to catch the babies, to step in at a moment's notice. And so it's everything and anything, and especially right now in this context, mayors are, through our work in city government, we are builders of infrastructure, of spaces where people can still connect and get things done and come together. And ultimately, we're builders of community. And that's where the connection with the architecture community also is very salient.
Yeah, architects are passionate about community and building that, and also envisioning the future of communities and sort of that framework of resiliency and housing and how they work together. Do you want to talk just a little bit about your leadership in Boston? You've made progress in so many great areas in your first term. Excited to see you reelected, and just love to hear how you think about providing affordable housing for all these different kinds of people, but also designing a resilient and a city that's preparing itself for the future.
I bet there's not a single colleague out there who wouldn't say that housing is the primary or among the top concerns. Costs are skyrocketing, pressures on families' budgets, and especially in cities that are high-cost cities in a very thriving, successful metro region with constrained land, it is expensive also to then try to solve that. So we're throwing everything that we can at this. I'm very proud that over the last 4 years, Boston has built more new affordable homes than at any point in at least a generation, dating back 25 years. It has been with federal recovery dollars. It has been with new strategies and new programs, converting empty office buildings to new housing, looking at city buildings or city lots that could need investment anyway, and adding housing on top of, for example, libraries, or adding neighborhood scale housing that we then bring in our local community members to join the development community as well and build wealth in our communities through every step of that process. We are trying to go as quickly as we can to spur housing, to help close the gaps for financing, put public dollars in there, use city land, and then also do what we can do in making the process simpler and easier, tackling rezoning, permitting. We intend to be the city that is going to have the easiest experience to raise your family, to have an event, to open a business, and to build the housing that we desperately need built.
That's exciting, really exciting. And also you have an ambitious environmental challenge. So more than 1,350 architectural firms have signed up for a 2030 challenge around net zero buildings. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you think about the challenge for Boston around energy and resiliency a little bit more deeply?
We are a coastal city, and so that is always top of mind, that the very next storm, if it's at the time that matches high tide with the right wind angle, the cost of doing nothing is tremendous, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. And so we've been working to prepare, to analyze the 47 miles of coastline that we have, although only about a third of it is actually city publicly controlled. So lots of partnerships to think about resiliency. Our Green Ribbon Commission brings together the major institutions across the city to work on this. Whether or not the federal government is a partner at any given moment, we are going to have to find ways to continue moving forward. Energy costs are also a huge part of every family's calculation right now in their budgets. And so we have a city municipal aggregation program for electricity, bulk purchasing of green, clean energy. And this has a higher rating of green energy than the default utilities. Yep. And it has saved money. We've saved over the last years that this program has been in effect more than $230 million for our residents with more sustainability.
So are there any specific things that you connect the dots on that have been federally funded that are driving your federal advocacy right now? I know it's a stressful time, but what feels possible, what feels like it's worth focusing on for that federal support that every city needs?
Whether now or 3 years from now, as big decisions are being made across the country, with the next election cycle, when mayors come together and say this is the agenda that American cities and the people we serve need, that has a real impact. I know last election cycle, many mayors stood up around housing, that we need partnership from the federal government, and that continues to be true. We are seeing in our city the record gains that we have made, now really fighting against headwinds. Right. We've created new programs. We've helped folks who are living in subsidized housing become homeowners, have helped more homeowners than ever before become first-time rooted home buyers in our city. But the attack now on illegally withdrawing federal dollars from our housing programs, or even a direct investigation into whether our fair housing programs are discriminatory because we prioritize having an applicant pool that reflects the diversity of our city. These are all places where we're having to spend time and energy and resources that we really should be getting to the underlying problem of building more and making sure it's affordable.
And happening to the whole coalition of mayors. This isn't an isolated thing. So I feel like you have a very practical and thoughtful approach that's really appreciated, and we face real hurdles. AIA did a housing summit last year, and so there's a lot of data and research and resources, so please come by our table. We'd love to be resources to you. We'd also love to have you understand where architects can be more supportive and more collaborative in this process. I think some of the themes I've seen in your administration is to explore integration and new ways of doing things, and I think that kind of creative framework is really important. So the AIA looks forward to collaborating with all of you and making sure you know the architects in your local area and the local chapters along the way. I wanted to kind of end with this idea of creativity and mindset, and that comes a little bit from design and architecture, but also applies to change and innovation. And you had a chief of staff who was an architect by training, Tiffany Chu, who I met at the Green Ribbon Commission. Can you talk about what it's like to have an architect on your team? Did you notice anything?
Yeah, Tiffany
about
was
that mind?
an incredible leader, and as with many of our team members, at the conclusion of the term, onto bigger and better challenges, but the mark that she's left with that mindset of how do we really understand how the pieces fit together with that design mindset, it's made a big difference. One of my favorite projects was we partnered with our local Boston Society of Architects, and they agreed to do a seminar with every kindergartner in the Boston Public Schools. So at the beginning of the school year, I wrote them a letter, each kindergartner, and said, "Hi, I'm the mayor of Boston, and I'm giving you a mission, should you choose to accept it. Help us build the ideal city." And then they worked with the architects, and they learned how buildings fit together and how you use the different shapes and angles and all that. And then at the end of the year, the end of the session, they built those cities, little models, and I got to go see them. And what I had thought was going to be a set of really interesting shaped buildings, twisty-turvy or very tall, right? The architecture as the focus. It ended up that when you asked the people who are most honest of all, our children, kindergartners, they had a very specific and different idea of what the ideal city was. There actually weren't a lot of tall, fancy buildings in their little model cities. They were walking me around, and they showed me a lot of places in their cities that had a gigantic bed that took up the entire block so everyone could go to sleep at night. They had a lot of free food stores, a lot of free ice cream stores in their perfect cities as well. And one of them, a future public works employee, I believe, had a tall structure with a fuzzy thing on top. And when I asked her what it was, she said it was an owl's nest. And I was like, oh, great, we have a future biologist, animal lover. And she said, this is so that when the people go to sleep at night, the owls come down and they catch all the rats and take care of them. So even rodent control, they were managing with their built environment. And I think as we're thinking about what cities can do right now, it is about addressing people's needs. It is about taking care of the things that everyone needs to take care of for their families. I take a special pride in that in Boston because we are in the 250th year of our country's founding. Boston, the birthplace of American democracy, we had a lot to say about what American values are and what that sense of building for the public good means. We have to keep building that foundation. We have to keep standing up for what's right, and it doesn't feel easy at every moment in history. It doesn't feel predictable or straightforward, but so many of our communities are counting on us to continue building the spaces that will push us in the right direction for the next generation. And so I'm very grateful to get the chance to do it, and most of all to hear from so many others who are also doing that every day.
That's terrific. That's terrific. I also love that children have an optimism. It's their future. This is the only world they've known. They don't remember it being different. So I love that. Well, just in closing, there are more than 100,000 architects that want to be partnering with all of you. So please let us know how we can be helpful. We partner with Boston all the time, but I want you to bring us into your administration, your chief of staff, the planning commissions. Help AIA National help you find those resources and those passionate architects that are optimistic about the future. So it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for the generosity of your time, and look forward to talking more the rest of the conference.
Great. Thank you so much, Gil.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. I think we go that way.
Sorry.
In this sometimes divisive and toxic political climate, complicated more than ever by unchecked and inaccurate information on social media, the words we choose as leaders have become almost as important as our ideas. Our next speaker is a longtime friend of the Conference of Mayors and a frequent presenter here. On a personal level, I think ever since I turned 20 years old, I have been in a meeting with Frank Luntz like every year of my life. He is ubiquitous, but he keeps getting invited back here and to so many other places because he is quite astute as well. Frank brings his experience as a nationally renowned communications expert and senior fellow at the United States Military Academy at West Point, and perhaps you have met some of the cadets that he has with him this week. Today, for our lunch plenary, he is back with clear language that cuts through the noise and will help you tell your story. Please welcome Dr. Frank Luntz.
They gave me lines that I'm supposed to not cross, which means I'm guaranteed to cross them. Get out your pens, because I only have 15 minutes, and I got a lot of stuff to show you. First thing, Americans are truly angry. And they're angry at a government that doesn't seem to listen. They're angry at an economy that doesn't seem to provide their needs. They're upset about the cost, the prices. They don't feel safe and secure. 72% are mad as hell. I don't know how you do what you do. Mayors in this room, can you raise your hands? Because I can just barely see you. This table right here, it's like everyone's a mayor. I applaud you for your service. I'm grateful for your efforts. And on behalf of the American people, they trust you more than any other level of government. Congratulations on serving the people you represent. And of all the data, this is the one that bothers me the most. The public believes that this is the most divided and polarized that it has ever been. Look at those who are 65 and older, the bottom right-hand side. These are people who lived through the assassination of JFK and RFK. They lived through Martin Luther King's killing. They lived through embargoes. They lived through a war. They lived through the worst of America, and they still say that we're more divided now than at any time. So how do you bring people together? I'm going to give you some of that language. I'm going to do so momentarily. Last thing I want to do about government is that half of Americans have either a little or no faith in their leadership. And I see a gentleman several people at this table taking pictures. This is the stuff that doesn't matter. Hold on about 2 minutes and you're going to want to be taking pictures. Although I see the gentleman's eating, you're having an extra dessert, so please keep on eating. Clearly, I've had more desserts than I should be having. I'm actually going to button my coat because I remembered that I actually weigh 4 pounds more today than I did 3 years ago at this time. When half of Americans have no faith, you're going to have to use the right words. You're going to have to use the right language, and I'm going to get to that right now. I'm going to skip all the numbers. I want to focus on what matters most. It's not the American dream. And I know how that bothers people to see this. But the public no longer believes, some of the public believe it's not relevant. Others believe that it's impossible to achieve. They're trying to live the good life. For some people, living the good life is a six-pack. For some people, it's getting a new car or getting a used car. It's different for every individual. But the good life is what we aspire to right now. So please, go back to your communities and ask them how they define it. Not the middle class and not the American dream. Another element, and I've presented this once before, how many of you have I'm going to ask you, do you have a job or career? This is everyone in this room. How many of you think you have a career? Raise your hands. How many of you think you have a job? Raise your hands. Which would you rather have, a job or a career? Who'd rather have a job? Hands up. Who'd rather have a career? Look at this. Stop promising jobs. Stop talking about jobs. That's not what the public is asking for. The public wants something that isn't 9 to 5. The public wants something that's more meaningful, more memorable, more measurable. It's a career, not a job, and you'll be talking to your constituents much more effectively. Another aspect is what they want from you. Obviously, integrity, problem solver. If you're taking notes, this is the most important finding of everything you'll see here. If you are defined as a problem solver, they'll keep you in office, because in the end, you're improving their quality of life and you're improving their standard of living. A problem solver is something that they believe does not happen here in Washington, but does happen in local states and local communities. Obviously, get it done matters. For this, write this down. It's a meaningful, measurable track record of real results and genuine solutions. I'm going to say it one more time. A meaningful, measurable track record, so you can see it in good times and bads, of meaningful solutions and measurable results. That's how you prove that you've gotten the job done. Another thing I want to challenge you all, and I'm going to run through this straight. Normally, you know that I do Q&A. And by the way, for the cadets, I can see you walking in the back there. There's tables right up here that aren't being used. So come on up. I want to introduce just very quickly, they're all the way in the back, and they're coming towards us now, the cadets of the West Point Academy. So you can't see because you're trying to get to the tables, but there's seats available all the way in the front here. Just grab a seat anywhere. And Ethan, you just sat down with the mayor, so you're the smartest person of this whole group. Remember, don't eat with your hands, use utensils. The highest value that the public has is common sense. It's not right or left. It's not centrist. It's not mainstream, so stop using that language. All they want from their government is to make intelligent, smart decisions. And that's why common sense matters so much. In terms of the language, this is the picture you should take. We've been looking at mission statements and trying to understand what the public wants most. And by the way, this gentleman right here is Colonel Nad, colonel from the West Point Military Academy. He runs the Black and Gold Leadership Academy. An outstanding public servant. They want you to listen, they want you to fight, they want you to work. No exceptions, no excuses. This is the language of a campaign. This is the language of what they're looking from you. Once again, take a picture of this. This is the best language that we have seen in terms of bringing people back together, of debating civilly, confidently, and with decency and respect. New ideas, better solutions, good people. Move forward as a community. Ingenuity, real results. This is the language that the public is looking from you. I want to give you examples of words to use and words to lose. For those of you who are environmentalists, stop talking about sustainability. The public isn't looking for sustainability, they're looking for better. Sustainability is the status quo. Cleaner, safer, healthier is something better. Human capital is putting a price tag on an individual. What they want to celebrate is human talent. And finally, oversight and compliance, all that is about effort. What they're looking for is results, which is accountability, responsibility, and transparency. Do you see the difference? Is anyone out there? Do you see the difference? Thank you. What do they want from you? Not a vision, not a mission anymore, even a roadmap. What they want is a detailed plan of action, detailed so they know that you're serious. Plan so they can read it and study it, and action because they want things to happen. There are way too many of you who've been putting out mission statements that aren't read or aren't appreciated. This is the new language of that. Here are your 21 words. I suggest you take a picture of it. I'm going to do just 5 of you right now. The consequences of failure. It's funny that I start with the most negative. People listen when they hear consequence because they think it's going to affect them. They think it's going to have an impact on them. And so when you use the word consequences, that causes people to pay attention. Second, more efficient, more effective, and more accountable. more efficient so you can do more with less, more effective so whatever you do it right, and more accountable because they want to know that if you get it wrong, they'll be held responsible. Mutual respect, that is the value that your constituents want from you more than anything else. In terms of respect, that means that you appreciate them, that you value them, and it's a two-way street, which is why the mutual is so important. Fact-based, don't talk about evidence, don't talk about data-based. Numbers lie, and evidence make you sound like a lawyer. In fact, who's a lawyer here? Raise your hands. Everyone who's got their hands up, get out. You don't want to sound like a lawyer. It's not a great profession these days. And I'm sorry. And the last one here that I'll focus on is a healthy economy. Because a healthy economy, healthy neighborhoods, healthy communities, healthy families. Healthy is another word for successful. And that's what people are looking for. All these words work, and I'm going to show you some comparisons. This is brand new for the Mayor's Conference. This was created over the last 36 hours. These are all the words that actually put some life into your communication. I'm devoid of jokes and humor because there's nothing funny about what's happening in America right now. So usually I come up and I will tell you a joke about one or the other political parties. For example, I was at Donald Trump's very last White House event in 2020. It was the White House Christmas party. And I finally got the guts to ask him, what does the J in Donald J. Trump stand for? You know what he told me? Genius. I told that because the cadets have heard me say that so many times they don't think it's funny anymore. Flawless says that something is perfect. Extraordinary and exceptional says it's something that's part of the 1%. Immaculate says more than just clean. Toxic is the worst kind of political discourse. All these words will add meaning and add intensity and add impression to your messaging. And that's why I recommend that you use it. The reason that you don't talk about equity and DEI, and I know that more than half this room believes it, is that it has now become a toxic phrase. It is automatically divisive, even if you raise it with the best intentions. So the way that you get around that, every person in every community, from every community, and every corner of the state, the country, the city, whatever you represent, every, 3 times you say every. We found that the people who are most supportive of DEI prefer the every even more. Because DEI is talking about a specific group. And every person in every community, in every corner of the country, is all of us. It's everyone in this room. And so it's a better approach. Rather than your principles and values, the reason why that's not a winner is because that's just about you. When you talk about your priorities, that's everyone. That tells me the impact that you're going to make on your city, on your town, on your community. Another example, capitalism. When you ask people, what does capitalism mean to you? And normally I would do a give and take, but I only have 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Capitalism represents Wall Street. Capitalism is for millionaires and billionaires, at least that's the perception. Economic freedom is all of us. Economic freedom is Main Street. It's for those who want to make it at some point in the future. Economic freedom beats capitalism by 20 points. The middle class is class-based politics, and Americans don't like that. What they would rather support and celebrate is the hardworking taxpayer. Only 40% of Americans identify themselves as middle class right now. 89% consider themselves hardworking taxpayers. That's a big difference. That's an immediate improvement in your communication. I love this. We talk about crime, but crime is an adjective. Our streets, our schools, our neighborhoods, people see it. You make those safe, and the public will feel safe. You talk about crime, that crime is failure. Safety is success. And by 2 to 1, the public prefers streets, schools, and neighborhoods being safe. Another example, compassion and empathy are obviously important. What the public is looking for is genuine understanding. because they want to be understood, they want to be heard, they want to be respected, and understanding beats both of them. Okay, I got 1 minute. What question can I answer for you? I'll take one question. I got through it as fast as I could. Over here. Yes. Yes, but they have to, in the back, they have to read, because it's not going backwards. So I'm asking those in the back. There we go. Go, if you can turn it backward to about the middle of the presentation. It's 21 words of what to say, what not to say. There we go. These are the words. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you very much for this honor, for this privilege. If you're a mayor, please come. The cadets you can identify them by their uniforms. They're up every morning at 5:30, maybe 5:45. They're not asleep till midnight. They do more marching, more rucking in snow, in sleet, in freezing rain. They put in a greater effort than any young people I have ever seen, and they do it for selfless service and for sacrifice because they love America. So please say hi to them. Thank you all.
This session is now adjourned.